What up, y'all? It's your boy R to the A to the S. Yes. Roz here with Proceed with Cause the Blog. And today I'm here with the Vine Video King, a man who's respected by his peers so much that rapper Jay Sign named his album after him.
Stop with that one. I think, you know what? He's probably so tired of that at this point.
Oh man.
I feel like he's the one who named the album. I feel like I gotta apologize to him though. I'm sorry that people always bring up my name. It is my name though.
That is the name. Someone's music I've been following since 1999 after he gave a friend of mine his CD at the Christology, layman term, release party. And I've been listening to his music ever since. We were filming a documentary called The Next Level, which is the first Christian hip hop documentary. And so I've been following him ever since. I'm here with the one and only Braille Brizzy. What's up, Braille?
Man, I'm chilling at the Legacy. Man, that party, I'll tell you a crazy story about the Christology in layman's terms party. Now, so first of all, I knew Official from back then. He was living in New York and he used to send me beats. He was trying to send me beats around the time of Life First, but didn't land nothing. There's a few songs I think on Human Emergency where I had those beats before they were on Human Emergency, because it was before I was building with him before he was even building with Cross Movement. So it was through my relationship with him that I knew to go to that release party. And I went to that Christology in layman's terms. My stepfather dropped me off in Philly. I lived in South Jersey. I didn't drive and I had no ride. I just got dropped off at the show. I'd never been in that area, and I just told my stepdad, I'll figure out someone to give me a ride home. And so I just asked around, and somebody dropped me off at my house after that show. But anyway.
Wow.
Yeah, so I was there. I didn't even realize the significance of that, because in terms of, at that time in my life, I didn't really realize that was like a real important concert. You know what I mean?
Right.
It was like, I didn't know what I was going to. It was my first exposure to anything Cross Movement. I was just going there through my relationship with Official. Yeah.
Wow. Do you remember any of the beats that were featured? Do you remember what the name of those songs?
Man, well, there's one where I think John Kennedy is speaking. It's like an interlude or whatever.
Okay.
There's one that was called Warning. You would hear this warning scratched into it. Yeah. I can't remember now. I'd have to listen back. I just remember when I listened, I was like, I've had those beats for a while.
Wow.
I know those beats. But he caught me in between albums. You know, I just finished up Life First, and I didn't put out another solo record until 2004.
Right.
Shades of Grey. So there was a big gap. So if you gave me beats around that time, I kind of sat on them for a long time. So yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I want to get to the first question. You talked about on Open Letter, paraphrasing, you went from an optimist to a gospelist. Can you explain what do you mean by that, how that reflected your music, just life in general?
Yeah, so I have a real optimistic type of personality, right? Optimism could fall under the category of a song like Bob Marley, Everything's Gonna Be Alright. Right. Now, why is everything gonna be alright? No particular reason. That's just my outlook on life, right? I'm an optimist. I see things like, you know what? It's just gonna work out. We gotta figure this out. We'll make it work. And so I was very optimistic. And so I could believe a passage like, all things will work out for the good, right? But I believed it just as all things will work out for the good, but not through a gospel lens. I didn't see it through a lens of restoration. I didn't see it through a lens of like standing before Jesus perfected from my sin. You know what I mean? I didn't see it through that lens of ultimately all things will work out. I was optimistic that, like, you know what? That didn't go how I planned. It's all good. You know, I was an optimist, and that's what would come off as very positive moral content. right? It's like, if you're just a good person and you do good things will happen and things will work out. And that was essentially the worldview that I presented through my life. That being a good person and doing things the right way and trying to do things the right way, you might face some opposition, but things will ultimately work out. Now I still believe things will ultimately work out, and I believe that you should attempt to do the right things, but I see it through a gospel lens, and I look at life through a gospel lens that my pain, difficulties that I go through, this is all part of my sanctification, being conformed into the likeness of Christ, even to the extent that if I would suffer, I'm not embracing the suffering from an optimism standpoint, I'm embracing the suffering from a gospel standpoint. Lord, what do you want? What purpose do you want to use this for? How does this help advance the gospel? Not necessarily just like, I will survive. You know what I mean? Because everything will work out. It's like, no. How is this going to be used to progress my sanctification? How is this going to be used to advance the kingdom of God? And so that's the lens I look at life through now. I look at life through a gospel lens, not necessarily a positive or moralism lens.
Okay.
So yeah, that's the distinction.
So you would say like, keep on, your song, keep on. You would say that would be more like an Optimist song, would you say that? Would you?
I don't know. People have received from that song in different layers, right?
Okay.
There's definitely, but there on a surface level, you if you cut out an understanding of the gospel, then I can, because people that don't believe the gospel at all love that song, Keep On. They could relate to it.
Right.
They could apply it to all types of things. They could apply it to a skateboard injury. You know, I felt like I was gonna quit skating because I got injured, but now I'm gonna keep on, right? They could apply it to different things, and there is a level in which that's beneficial. But to what end are we keeping on? To what end are we persevering? Why do we persevere? What drives us to persevere? Persevere in what? You know what I mean?
Right.
And so I feel like there's a level of encouragement, but there's also a lot of unanswered questions. The answer to those questions has become like radically important to me. You know what I mean? That this encouragement is not just fluff, or that it's not just rooted, but man, the Lord has been gracious. I mean, that Keep On song, I know people that listen to that. There was a guy in Africa that emailed me once. He was riding his bicycle, got hit by a car, was paralyzed from the waist down, and was listening to that song in a hospital. I can't undercut that either. You know what I'm saying? Or there was a guy who had cancer and was bedridden for so long that it jacked up one of his legs and he couldn't walk. He was listening to that stuff in the hospital. There are certain emotions that were being communicated. Now, I just want to root those emotions in the gospel.
Okay.
That's the idea. You know? So where it was alluded to, I can only do so much based on my own understanding.
Right.
I think my understanding of the gospel was not well-rounded, and so I looked at Christian things, but not all through the gospel lens. So it is a Christian truth, but now seeing it through the gospel lens. Yeah.
Okay. So second question, sort of related along with that. I mean, you have artists such as Shad K, your boy Jose Moore Othello, you know, who are Christians, and however you want to categorize or whatever. I guess, how do you, like, where are you at now in terms of, like, you know, the type of music you do now? Because you're not that quote-unquote underground rapper that you were back then.
Yeah.
So I guess now, how do you relate to, I guess, like the non-Christian, you know, underground hip-hop scene that you were in before? Are you still in that? Do you still view yourself in that, just with the gospel lens, as you said? Or like, where are you at now with, you know, Beautiful Eulogy? Is that clear?
Well, Beautiful Eulogy, yeah, I understand the question clearly. So Beautiful Eulogy is unique because it's a group, you know, and it gives us an opportunity to make music that is reflective of where we're at now, not necessarily where we were at. And there is one sense where a 22, 23-year-old Braille with a JanSport backpack on, rapping over any beat he can get his hands on, there is a sense where I have grown from that stage of my life. And but there's another sense where I am not disconnected from the people that I've had relationships with over the years. You know what I mean? So I still have a lot of those same relationships. I just approach things differently. And I think that right now, the Lord is slowly forming in me what I would say is probably a kind of pastoral heart. So, for example, there was one guy that used to always be around me back in 2006, 2007, 2008. He knew me as Braille, and I was just a positive influence in his life. That's the type of relationship that my platform cultivated, was for me to be a positive influence in somebody's life. We touch base now, just a few months ago, we dove headfirst into the gospel. This is a guy just getting out of drug rehab, and I watched life transformation. I watched life transformation, discipleship. And when I see that kind of fruit, I'm like, I'll deal with less people, but have more impact than more people. And it's just, that's just Braille, that guy who's a good guy. You know what I'm saying? Now, I'm not speaking for anyone else. You know what I mean? Because at that point it gets kind of personal. I have a desire, and I actually feel a burden. I didn't at first, but I feel a burden to make some music that does communicate the gospel to the audience, which I spent so many years of my life developing a relationship with. I do have a desire, and I realize that in some ways the Beautiful Eulogy music doesn't scratch that itch if you were listening to Shades of Grey. And at the same time, that era of underground rap in general, it's a different time. You know what I'm saying? A record like Shades of Grey, I just feel like it's a dated approach to hip hop, and the audience for it is so small that if I remade that record, even with a little bit of, I don't even think it would be as successful now as it was back then. You know what I mean? It's just a different era. But in terms of my where I'm at relationally, I'm in pursuit of fruit. You know what I mean? I pray, God, who would you have me to be in relationship with? Who would you have me to pour into? Because I can't guess. I can't just call up somebody that made a beat for me 6 years ago. Hey, yo, what up? How you doing? Let's chop up the gospel. You know what I mean? I can't fabricate fruit from a ministry perspective. I'm completely dependent on the Lord, and so I pray, and that's what I'm in pursuit of, though. At this point, it's like, not necessarily just can I be known as a guy just on the surface with a bunch of people that don't really know me. It's like I want to go in deep with the people that the Lord really causes to cross paths with me, you know? And so I think it's all encompassing, but yeah, my focus is a little bit more pastoral than it would have been back then. You know, it's caring for the whole person. That has to be the people that the Lord brings to me. I can't just try and play that role in somebody's life who's not asking me to play that role, if that makes sense. You know, somebody trying to come up to you and play a role in your life that you don't want them to play, that ain't really gonna work. You know what I mean? So I need to play that role in people's lives who the Lord brings to me to play that role in their life. And that's what I'm searching for. So now I'm trying to love my wife, love my kids, love my church, and through that, that's gonna affect the way I write songs, because that's my world. My world isn't the underground hip hop world. My world is my family, my kids, and building relationships with people that produce fruit. You know, that's my world, and so I'll still spit raps, you know, when I get the opportunity, you know, but I gotta prioritize as well, you know. And I'm thankful that there's so many different artists that fill so many different places. And so it's like, man, I don't know. And the Lord's still shaping me, man. I've went through so much change in a condensed amount of time that to translate that all artistically, sometimes it's so overwhelming I don't even want to write. You know what I mean? It's like, how can I even condense that into a rap? You know what I mean? It's like, it's all new. It's like a new life. the Lord's redemption, restoration, I am definitely thinking through how can I share that with some audience that maybe is isolated from what I'm doing now, but at the same time I know that I can't do what I'm doing now in my old format. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just like it's just a process.
Okay. So that's it. Any plugs you want to put in? Humble Beast, Twitter, whatever?
Man, no plugs really. I mean, Braille Hip Hop is the name I go under in social media, so whether that's Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. I ain't really deep on social media. I'm more of a goofball, so you'll find that out real quick. I don't know how to be deep in 160 characters. You know, some people are good at that.
Yeah.
I'm like, I hope you're having a good day. I don't know how to say something deep real short. As you see, I'm long-winded, so I just act like a fool. So if you want to have a good time, maybe you can find some of those videos. But anyway, yeah.
All right, thank you, Braille. That's it. This is Proceed with Caution Blog. Kobe Sutts, and I'm out. True.
Wow. All right.